It's a strange thing. Most of us work hard our entire lives, but we never really get financially free. Why is that? Well, I can tell you it's not about luck, and it's not about being lazy. It's about these hidden systems, these mindsets, that are basically designed to keep us stuck. So let's pull back the curtain and look at the real reasons why most people never get rich. So let me just ask you straight up, are you really playing the money game to win? Now, I know your first thought is probably, of course I am, but what if the game itself is rigged? What if you've been playing by a set of rules designed to make you lose from the very beginning? A lot of people are absolutely convinced they're winning. I'm talking especially about the perfect spenders. You know who I mean, the ones who diligently pay off their credit card balance in full every single month, never pay a penny in interest. And that feels smart, right? It feels responsible, like you're beating the system. But what if that perfect habit is actually part of the trap? And that brings us to our first big idea here, what some folks are now calling the financial cigarette. It's something millions of us use every single day, thinking it's just a harmless tool. This quote from Dave Ramsey just nails it. It frames credit cards not as a tool, but as this widespread, socially accepted habit that has some really dangerous long-term effects. Just like smoking, you can do it for years and feel totally fine, but under the surface, it could be slowly, quietly draining your financial health. And I mean, the numbers don't lie. Look at this. Nearly half, 49%, of all credit card users carry a balance. For them, paying those insane interest rates, the game is already over. They've lost. But what about the other 51%, the ones who pay in full? Well, that doesn't mean you're winning. It just means you're not falling behind, yet. But see, this whole thing goes way deeper than just interest rates. There is a powerful psychology at play here, a psychology that has been very carefully designed to get you to part with your money more easily. This is absolutely fascinating. MIT did a study using fMRI brain scans, and they found that swiping a credit card literally changes how your brain processes a purchase. We all kind of know that paying with plastic feels less painful than handing over cold, hard cash. That right there releases the brakes on our spending. But the study found it also hits the accelerator. It actively makes you spend more than you otherwise would have. And oh, the companies know exactly how to exploit this. Think about it. They've shifted from simple cash back to points. Why? Well, because earning 150,000 points feels like you just won the lottery. It totally disconnects you from the reality that it's just $500. It's the exact same psychological trick casinos use. They give you chips instead of cash because it gamifies the whole thing and makes the real cost feel totally abstract. Now take a look at this number, 10,000. Just let that sink in for a second. What in the world could that possibly represent? That is the number of experiments Capital One runs on its own customers every single year. They are constantly A/B testing everything, the language, the offers, the psychological triggers, all to figure out exactly what gets you to spend more. You think you're playing a game against the house? No. They are running thousands of simulations to make sure the house always wins. So if the very tools we use are designed against us, what about the path we're all told to follow? Well, that leads us to the bigger system at play, the middle-class hamster wheel. We all know this script, right? It's been drilled into us. First go to college and take on debt. Then get a good job so you can start paying off that debt. Then you buy a house, the American dream, right? Which means taking on even more debt. And all of a sudden you wake up, you're 35 years old with a mortgage and student loans, and you're trapped. You have to keep that job just to make the payments. Now this quote, this is going to sound completely backwards at first, but just hear me out. An income of, say, 80 grand a year can be like a golden cage. See, it's not so little that you're forced to get creative and make a radical change, but it's also not nearly enough to build real, sustainable wealth. It's just enough to make you dangerously comfortable. And that is the slowly boiling crab effect. You're just comfortable enough. You get a little raise here and there, you inflate your lifestyle just a tiny bit, and you don't even realize the water is getting hotter and hotter. Before you know it, you're too comfortable to take the big risks you need to take to actually escape and build real independent wealth. Okay, so that all sounds pretty bleak, I know. The system's designed to trap you. How in the world do you get out? Well, it all starts with a fundamental shift in how you think about money. It means you have to adopt the mindset of wealth. It really boils down to two completely different approaches. Over on the left, you've got the common mindset. It's driven by instant gratification. When you want something, the question in your head is, how can I work to buy this? But on the right, you have the wealth mindset. It's all about delayed gratification.
And the question changes. It's not how can I buy it, it's how can my assets buy this for me?
And that new question leads to an incredibly powerful mental model. It's called the 4% rule of affordability, and it completely redefines what the word afford even means. You can only truly afford a recurring expense when 4% of your invested assets can cover its annual cost without you ever having to lift a finger for it. Let's make this super concrete. Take a $15 a month subscription. The common mindset looks at that and thinks, okay, that's maybe an hour of work. But the wealth mindset sees it totally differently. To truly own that expense, to have your assets pay for it, you'd need about $4,500 invested, passively generating that money for you. That one little shift in perspective, it changes the entire game. Okay, so we've looked at the traps and we've talked about the crucial mindset shift you have to make. So let's wrap this up with a clear, actionable roadmap on how you can actually break free from all this. Here's the plan. First, you have to develop your financial literacy so you actually understand the rules of the game you're playing. Second, you absolutely must pay yourself first. That means saving and investing consistently before you spend a dime on anything else. Third, build multiple streams of income so you're never dependent on one single paycheck. Fourth, and this is a big one, actively avoid consumer debt like the plague. And finally, you have to focus on the long-term marathon of building wealth, not trying to find some short-term sprint to get rich quick. And that brings us right back to where we started. The financial world has set up a game that's designed for you to feel like you're playing, all while the house rakes in the real profits. So the question I want to leave you with is this. Now that you see how the system works, are you going to keep playing their game? Or are you ready to start building your own?